Today, let's look at training the planche progressions. So starting with the easiest variation, but starting in a crow or a frog position. So I'm in this crow froggy position with bent arms. Easiest variation to start with is just to straighten the arms in that position. So you could hold there and then come back again. The only thing you have to be careful here is, because you're starting in that bent arm position, your protraction is probably not going to be as good. So make sure when you straighten the arms to start to push out through your upper back, really round. Ideally in that position, when you start to get to straight arms, you don't want to see your shoulder blades, so you should be pushing out towards protraction. So again, frog position, bent arms, push up, try and protract. Make sure you turn the hands and wrists out, make them happy. So that way with the hands, and see if you can hold for around 5 to 10 seconds. Now if that feels okay, next progression is to do exactly the same. So straighten the arms all the way, and then just see if you can take your knees off your arms and go back again. Now if you find that one tricky, you could either use band assist around your hips, or you could use a little bit of friction off your arms. So when I'm in that position, as I go into the straight arm position, I bring my knees inside, but I keep contact between my knees and my arms. So I'm like pushing out with my knees and pushing in with the arms at the same time to create that connection, friction, and just a little bit of help to support you in that position. Then going into an actual tuck planche. So coming up into straight arm position, into that protracted position, knees totally off your arms, and then back again. Next progression would be the flat back or the advanced tuck position. So with this one, we want to have, instead of this rounded tuck position, a flat back, so meaning more straight spine, and ideally knees in line with hips. I'm not going to be able to talk in this position because it's starting to get harder. So again, starting in that frog position. So there, straight in, and then try and keep the heels on the butt and really try and open up that back position so it's straight. This is where it's going to get much harder to hold that protracted position. But ideally try and push through there as much as you can. And I have to really actively think, keep the arms straight, push the elbows in and push up and forwards. Then we can look at the in-between an advanced tuck position and a straddle or high hip straddle position. We can go into the frog. So it's basically like the advanced tuck position. The legs start to open up a little bit and the feet stick out a bit more. So there's a longer lever arm. So in the advanced tuck, we went into this position. Frog is going to be a bit more like that. So it's not quite a straddle position, but it's a little bit more open than the tuck position. And these ones are a bit of a grey area because some people will actually find this one more comfortable than a advanced tuck position. Then we have the high hip straddle. So not seen as a great straddle position for planche, but I like it because it's like an in-between. Just be careful that you don't bring the legs too much like this. The legs want to be in this position. Now, an ideal straddle position is this, but as you can see, the lever arm on that is much longer. This shortens the lever arm and makes it easier. But it is a common position people get stuck in because they rarely even force using their hip flexors. And now the tricky one, we're going to try and get from this position to more of an open hip straddle position. This is really hard for me, so I'm probably going to be able to hold it for 2 or 3 seconds, and I'll see if I can get back to the crow position, but I might not be able to get back. Then I'm just going to try and open up even more, try and get that flat a little bit, try and get the hip a little bit flatter, and try and bring the legs together a little bit more. I think that was a bit more open, but probably a little bit higher. And then obviously the ultimate goal is to bring the legs together, keep the knees locked, toes pointed, and be in a full planche position. I can't do that yet for any quality time. Now, if you are working towards your tuck planche or you're starting out the initial tuck journey, I'd recommend you play around with different variations of entries into the tuck, different assistance methods, whether you're using a band. I'd also be doing planche leans, so just spending lots of time in that position, ideally with the toes over, making sure you've got that full protraction. I'd do that as part of your warm-up and then play with the different tuck variations. Let me know if you have any training questions related to the planche or anything to do with handstands or bodyweight strength. Check out the website www.paultwyman.com.au and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks, guys.